Welcome back to the Sisterhood Society podcast. We have a little smaller group today. It's just Tara and I. Whitney's wedding anniversary was Saturday.
This is the first podcast she's missed. She's every single one.
She's been the loyal member, and I have missed a handful, quite a few actually, from like doctor's appointments and stuff. So she and Isaac were going to go do a little adventure this afternoon to celebrate their anniversary. So you just get Tara and I today. So we'll go ahead and start into our what's good if you want to start us off.
We really didn't do much over the weekend. We kind of got like the pool prepped and outside and just kind of like hung around as a family. And then Sunday went to church all together, which are some of our Sundays have been a little bit mixed because the kids have been going with their old babysitter some Sundays, and Brian and I've gone other places. And so anyway, or we watched online or whatever. So anyway, it was nice to be able to have us all together. I went to brunch afterwards with Ash and Luke. And so, yeah, it was just like a really chill Sunday, but it was nice to be able to kind of like catch up and just relax.
That is nice. I had a very boring weekend, kind of by choice and also because it's just the state of my life right now. And I talked about this on Instagram, and I feel like Mom saw it because then she called me an hour later and was like, "Do you want to come over for dinner?"
Feeling very bad for you.
I don't know if she like actually saw it or if she just happened to invite me, but I was like, she probably feels sorry for me. No, but I get in these weird slumps being an extrovert as well, where sometimes like if I've been home for a couple of days, I feel like I have a hard time leaving the house because I don't really have anything to like leave for. Like I don't have like a big reason. And every time I leave the house, I just want to spend money. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to go to Starbucks or like go buy a book or like, I don't know. So sometimes it feels like frivolous to just go like run and look at things because then I'm like, well, I know I'll be tempted at like Target or something. But
I told you about, you'd have plenty to keep you busy.
I know. Well, it's so funny because someone messaged me last night and he was like, wait, I don't get why you don't watch TV. And I was like, well, it's because I like will scroll my phone while I'm watching TV and that makes me feel like a zombie. And he goes, wait, isn't that the only way to watch TV? And I was like, yeah, actually, I think that's what everyone does. Because Mom invited me over for dinner and she's going to be doing like a student Bible study again soon. That's not with my friends. And she wanted to test out one of the meals that she was planning on doing from like a timing perspective and if the recipe was good or whatever. So she practiced on me and Dad, which I'm always down for a free dinner. But she and I were watching the coronation concert because she taped it. And like, I guess like I don't know any English pop stars because I like to know anybody who sang until Lionel Richie and Katy Perry at the end.
Well, I didn't watch any of it. And maybe I think I'm just not excited about King Charles. Like I think if it had been Diana, it would have been different, but I just didn't care. So I didn't know any of it. And I wouldn't have known any pop stars either. But they also said that like there was some drama around was it Elton John that didn't like they asked him to be at the coronation and he declined it?
Well, so I was asking Dad about this last night and I don't know anything about British government. So please take this with a grain of salt. But I know a lot of people are anti-monarchists and a lot of people are wanting it to go away. Like, so the country is like somewhat divided in the fact that not a lot, I mean, I don't know how many, but I know there's a group of people that don't. So like when they were looking to get people for the concert, they asked like Adele and Harry Styles and like people that we know that live in America, but are British. And Harry Styles supposedly had another show. And I guess Adele has her like Vegas thing, but I thought her Vegas residency was over. But either way,
if you had the opportunity to play the coronation, I would assume if you really wanted to, and you thought it was like a moment in history that you would want to be a part of it. So my guess is they probably weren't, but it is kind of an interesting thing that like England still has it because like what makes that family, like, why are you the royal family and why do you get the privileges and perks that you do? And they don't, I mean, the reality of it is like when you watch like the Queen isn't really making the rules, like Parliament still is. So like, what is the point of the monarchy?
Right.
I mean, I do get it. It is odd that people have said like, have been okay with it for this, this number of years.
Right. Dad was trying to say that they have tons of farmland, that like that's how the royal family makes a lot of their money. Because I was like, well, what would happen if the monarchy just like went away? And he's like, well, they like King Charles has like tons of real estate, which I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, he said he's like one of the biggest landlords in the UK. And then in addition to that, they have a lot of farm land.
Interesting.
And so they would have goods and products like they could still live off of. And I was like, so what do they do with the palaces? Like, do they still live there? And he was like, well, yeah, they probably would still live in the castles. But then I'm like, but then it's still like a monarchy. Like they just
nothing really changes.
Yeah, like I don't know what or maybe they would close some of the castles down and make them like museums or something. But I know that the monarchy brings tons of tourism to the country, which makes billions of dollars for the country because people, even when I was in London, I went to Windsor Castle and did the tour and whatever. So I know that it doesn't hurt them to keep it. But what I was going to say too is I thought it was so funny that Katy Perry, who's British, who's American, not British, sang at the coronation. And then like Ed Sheeran was on American Idol. And isn't he Scottish? Like, or Irish? What is he like?
I think he's Irish, isn't he?
Well, maybe the Irish aren't part of weren't they part of Brexit? Oh no, Beck's going to be so disappointed.
I think that the monarchy is only part of England, isn't it?
Well, but then they have the Commonwealth, which is like the UK, and then they have like Australia and New Zealand and Canada and stuff. So, but I just thought it was funny. I was like, it's so weird that she's American and like he's probably part of the Commonwealth or like the UK. he's on American Idol and she's over here. Like it was just weird that it was like flopped. Like their biggest two acts were at the end and they were both American, which seems strange to me, But I know they were saying that they asked like the Spice Girls and Adele and Harry Styles and Elton John and a bunch of people that are like actually like born British pop stars to perform, and they all declined it.
But everybody said they can't make it.
Yeah, maybe they were like Diana like fans and they just couldn't get over it. I don't know. Anyways, I did watch the coronation early Saturday morning. I didn't watch the ceremony until later once it was posted on YouTube, but I watched the processional and then I watched the porch moment because that is really cool. That's a really cool thing to watch in history, like the balcony where they go out and wave. So anyways, I didn't really do much of anything this weekend. I got my car washed, went to the post office, went to Trader Joe's. I literally sat around and read and worked out and ate. Like it was really, really boring.
I did actually watch a enormous amount of Firefly Lane, which I was telling you need to go back and watch.
Right.
That one apparently only has 2 seasons and they brought it out in like 2021. And then they brought out the last half of the second season, April 27th. So that's why it's like popped back up in like the top 10 of Netflix. But it kind of has a This Is Us vibe from the standpoint that it flips back and forth between like past, midday or mid-present and then present. And so I think that's interesting because I feel like anytime that you have to do a storyline like that, to interweave that through and do it really well is hard. And so so I thought it was very well done. And I'm not usually a huge Katherine Heigl fan, but I really liked her in this. And the gal that plays the other one played on Roseanne way back. It was like Becky. Is that right?
That sounds right. Yeah.
It was the older sister that they swapped for. Like she and like the original character didn't stay for all the seasons and she was the one that like took over.
Right.
So, but yeah, they made a really good duo. It was the whole cast. Like, it's just one of those ones, like, I feel like when the writing is done well, you are so connected to all the characters. Whereas like sometimes the writing, like if they do something with one of the characters, you don't really care because you're like, well, you didn't give me any reason to like be invested in them.
Right.
But I felt like that they did that really well with all of the characters, even if they didn't have like huge significant roles. It was, they did a good job. I liked it. I would highly recommend.
I did, for all of the listeners, I did start Jury Duty. I think I'm on episode 4, and it is very funny. Like I am enjoying it a lot. I have like it's weird because I can sit and read a 400-page book in one sitting, but yet my attention span for TV is so short. Like
each episode's only like 22 minutes.
I know, it's so stupid. It's because any TV or like content I listen to or watch, I do it while I multitask. And it came from this like toxic behavior of working in the evenings forever. When we first started this business, I almost was like anxious watching TV without having my laptop on my lap, which I don't do that as much anymore, obviously. And so I got so used to like always doing something with my hands or like multitasking. So it was like it's like I'm watching it, but I'm not really watching it. You know what I mean? Like I'm more like listening to it. So I kind of feel like I still do that with like, I do that with like YouTube videos, like book reviews or whatever long form content. So I watch it while I do my makeup or like I watched an episode while I folded laundry yesterday.
Well, the other one that I finished last week was one that one of the gals from the Patreon had suggested, which was The Lincoln Lawyer. And I really liked that one too. That one has, I think it's just one season and they're getting picked up for a second, but it has kind of a Few Good Men kind of feel to it where it's like it keeps you guessing. And there's like the last scene, you're like, oh, I totally did not see that coming. And so I love that kind of stuff where you're trying to, I don't love it when they don't give you enough details to figure it out. And you're like, why did they show me this? But I like it when they give you snippets and you're trying to like piece it together.
Yeah.
To see if I can figure it out before the movie tells me what it is.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how A Few Good Men was. It showed you a blip. And at the end, you're like, oh, got it. Like now I get it. So anyway, that one is a really good one too. And that actually has the gal, is it Neat? Not Neat. The gal that was on Party of Five. I can't think what other stuff she's done. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Watch that.
That's the only girl that that's the only thing I could think of that she's done. I know she's done in other stuff, but she's now old enough that she's a mama. And but anyway, the cast on that one is really well done as well. Like they all intermix really well together. And so yeah, Lincoln Lawyer and Firefly Lane, both.
Nice. You should have added that to our favorites episode.
I should.
Okay, so today I added some new ones because I know I told you some of my other ones.
Well, I had a really long list and we didn't talk through some of them.
Okay, so today's episode we're doing an episode called I've Had It with ... And this came from this, like, I found this podcast on TikTok and it's these two women that are in their mid-50s and they're so funny. They're kind of I shouldn't say kind of, they're crass for sure, like a lot of language, but they're just like, they kind of like obsess over just being like grumpy about stupid funny things. So like one of the videos I sent the girls was they were like, I've had it with paying it forward in the Starbucks line. Like when someone's behind you or someone's in front of you and paid for you, and then you feel this like pressure to do it. And so they just like make light of like silly things, or it's kind of like a pet peeve, but it's like funnier and more niche. And so the other one that they were talking about is they have like listeners call in and say like, I've had it with such and such. And they end up talking about what the listener brought to the table. And so they'll agree or disagree or be like, oh, I do that. So, so we thought we'd come up with just a handful of our own, and we'll keep this episode. We always say this, we're going to keep the episode short, but we're filming this a little late. So we won't go too long, especially because we don't have Wit on the episode. But what's your first one?
I am going to go with waffle fries.
I don't like waffle fries either, so let's hear it.
I don't like how they try to make them look fancy and they taste like crap. Like,
yeah.
The ratio of like crunchy to like potato is just off. There's like way too much potato, and just because they look fancy, they are not better than like a stick fry. They're kind of up there in the category of steak fry, but steak fries usually have like some good seasoning to them, and waffle fries just don't. Like they usually don't, and they're just not good. And it's the one thing about it is the one thing about Chick-fil-A that just makes me not 100% on all of their stuff. So,
something I learned from Phil's dad is you can ask them, like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, to fry them twice.
Oh, really?
So like if you like really crunchy, because him and I both like burnt food. And so like he likes burnt toast, burnt bacon, burnt pretty much popcorn, everything, which I don't like burnt toast, but I like burnt bacon, and I definitely like burnt popcorn. And I'm almost positive when he goes to McDonald's and like anytime we're at a restaurant, he'll be like, you know what? Like just make it as crispy as you can without it being black. Like he always like says like double fry it or whatever, but you can ask for your fries, I think, like more well done at Chick-fil-A.
Brian does that with hash browns. He wants them like super brown and crispy because he doesn't like them when they're like mushy.
Yeah.
So like bring them out like really brown.
Yeah. Cracker Barrel will do that for you.
Yeah. Actually, I know that because we were just there yesterday. We're eating lots of protein lately because of Kate's friend Brittany Moses, and so I was relaying back what my breakfast was, and Whit was giving me crap because I had done a sampler platter and it had bacon, sausage, and ham on it in addition to my eggs. But it was like one slice of bacon. The sausage was like normal size, but then the ham was like little. So anyway, but it was lots of protein.
Yeah, that works. Okay, so my first one is, this just recently happened to me and it makes me so mad when people do this. And I understand why, but I don't like, I've had it with when people gatekeep tables at a busy restaurant. You know what I mean? Like the perfect example of this is at Dozen Bakery.
I know you can bring up Dozen.
They have like maybe 7 outdoor tables. And what? If that, yeah, 6 or 7, maybe. And if it's a nice day and it's busy, someone whose husband is in the back of the line will go out and sit at a table outside when the line is going to take you 45 minutes to get through, 40 minutes probably. So another couple who's at the front of the line could sit down and eat and leave. And then you could get the table by the time your husband comes out with the food.
It's even worse when they steal the chairs from the other table.
And then the table is set without any chairs. Oh my gosh, that like really grinds my gears. But it happened a couple weeks ago, and I was texting our friends, Britt and Sam, and Britt was like, I hate that too, but I do it all the time. So I was like, you're the problem. But it's so frustrating because I actually got this from Phil, because when we first started dating, I'd always be like, what's the big problem? But we'd go to like Chipotle, and if there's like a booth that would seat like 5, and then there's a table that has 2 chairs and just like a table of 2, he'd be like, we have to sit at the table. And I'd be like, oh, it's more comfortable at the booth. And he'd be like, no, it's so rude to take a booth when there's just 2 of us, which he's totally right. But like, sometimes you just want to sit in the booth. But it's different if it's the only option and you're like, this is the only table. But if there's other options and you can sit at a smaller table, like, of course, it's like way more considerate if it's busy. And I just find that so flippin' annoying that people are sitting at that outdoor table, especially the outdoor ones, when it's nice out. They sit there, their little smug faces, checking their phone, acting like they don't know what they're doing. It is so rude to me. I'm like, because there's been multiple times where we'll have our food and we go out to look for a table, and there's someone just sitting there with no coffee, no drink, no nothing, because their husband's in line, or wife, whoever, their friend, and they're just gatekeeping that table until their food comes. Oh my gosh, it makes me so angry. I'm like, literally, I'll give it back to you. I just need to sit to eat. And then when I'm done, when your friend is done with the line, you can have this table back.
You should just sit down with them and say, I'm just going to eat with you while you wait.
I know. Well, and another thing, I also understand, like, I get it if you had a dog, at least like make it an excuse with your dog. You know what I mean? Like, like at least bring him.
Or if you have a kid and you're like, I don't want to stand in line holding my child, I'm going to sit down.
Totally acceptable. We did that with Ever when we had Ever. Like, that feels right to me. If you have a child, a stroller, if this is like a couple and you're just being rude because you want to sit outside, like that just, We didn't actually, to be fair, once Whitney grabbed the table forever, me and mom were almost at the front. So it wasn't like we gate kept it that long. It was maybe 10 minutes. I'm talking about when you first get there and you snag the table. You can tell I'm very worked up about this.
This is totally off topic, but it made me think, so my friend Summer listens to the podcast, and she ran the Illini half marathon like a couple weeks ago when Beck did. And actually Beck and Aria and Garrison all ran it together.
I know, I saw pictures. That was so cute.
So anyway, Summer ran it, and she has many, many times, but she said she was like literally dying on like mile 11. And so she popped in our podcast, and that's what got her to the finish line.
Oh, that's so cute. What episode was it?
She was, now I'm trying to remember which one it was. So I feel like she told me.
Maybe, hopefully it was a funnier one and not where we're like crying about.
She said that you and Kate or you and Whit were super funny, and then I was coming with my sarcastic comments. So I'm assuming it wasn't one of the more serious ones. That's funny. Which one it was? I'll have to look back at my text, but yes, we got her from 11 to 13.
That's cute. Well, shout out Summer and shout out Beck, Aria, and Garrison. Okay. What else have you not had, or what else have you had it with?
Okay. So I've had it with, I'm just like sick of trends in general, because I feel like, especially if you go way far trendy, you look like an idiot, right? It's like the stuff that comes out is so over the top ridiculous that like somewhere in the middle, you kind of just land normal. But if you really follow the trends, some of the stuff that you're pulling off, you look really bizarre, right?
Yeah.
But I was watching an influencer, and I was watching Shannon Ford, and she, her best friend is Taylor Monaco, and they went out for like drinks or whatever. And Taylor had like big, like ripped jeans. And Shannon at the end of the dinner was like, I just want to let you know that ripped jeans are out. And Taylor was like, since when? Like, she just had a baby, like whatever. And I was like, this is so dumb that we even care. And like Shannon had Googled it and was like, yeah, ripped jeans are out for 2023. And I'm like, who cares? Right? Like, I feel like we're finally in an era that it's not fully, it used to be that if that trend was out, you couldn't find them anywhere. Right? Like skinny jeans were in, the only option was skinny jeans. And now I feel like it's just kind of like boot cuts out there. You can have flares, you can have skinny, you can have straight, whatever, like the cross the gamut, whatever fits your body type best. That's what you're going for. So I love that piece of it. And I loved that about California when we moved there, that it was kind of like anything goes. Like nobody gave a rip what you were wearing. If you were still stuck in the 70s, you could be stuck in the 70s. And if you wanted to be trendy, you could be trendy. And if you wanted to wear something in between, that was fine too. But I just hate this like pressure to feel like you have to be on trend, or that you're dorky, or that you're like, I just was telling you, like, I'm just finally embracing the fact that I'm not going to be a cool mom anytime soon, or maybe never again. I'm just going to have to like, I keep thinking it's because I'm underwater, or because I'm busy, or because I have, this phase of life. And I'm like, no, I think it's just really, I've accepted my fate.
Like, I maybe just don't care to be a cool mom. And that's part of it.
I think I'm just so
well, and also like, I feel like the whole, like, have you watched those people on TikTok? They're like, your life will be better if you have an aesthetic. And here's the simple things in life that like make your life, you know what I'm talking about? And it's like talking about certain duvet covers. And I'm like, no, that's like not going to make your life that much better. It's just so funny to me. I mean, this one girl, I actually really like her videos. She lives in Florida and she just became a mom. And she was like, oh my gosh, it was such a hot take. She was like, she does these videos called like simple pleasures that you don't really need, or simple necessities you don't need, but do need, kind of thing. And it'll be like something you can put in your shower that makes your shower like smell good. And she's really bougie and she just had a baby. And she was like, maybe this is a hot take, but she's like, I got to the hospital and I didn't pack any of the things people tell you to pack. And I ate the snacks the hospital gave me. And other than a long iPhone cord, like I didn't need any of the like stuff that people tell me. And then she's like, and also I'm not that stressed out and I'm not bleeding as much as people tell me. And she was like saying all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is a really bold video to make. Like, she was like, I'm getting good sleep and my baby doesn't cry that much. And I was like, oh no, like she's going to get so much hate for this.
It's funny because my friends that are nurses say that anytime that someone comes in with a birth plan, that they always end up as a C-section.
I know, it's so sad. The only person I know that didn't happen to is Britt Moses, but she also was like super prepared. Like she knew, and she, maybe I shouldn't like go into full details because it's her personal life, but she like didn't, she did a full natural birth. So she just let her body go when it needed to go. And I think I'm the type of person where I'm like, get this baby out of me. Let's induce, or like, give me the drugs. So I think like your body, it's not like your body doesn't know what to do. Like it knows it's giving birth. Like it's ready when it's ready. I just don't have the patience for that. Like I know some people that do the whole natural thing, but I actually know someone recently that went in with like a laminated situation and it ended up in like a really traumatic C-section.
Well, I think that they were, I mean, and this is making a huge generalization, but I think that they were basically saying that if you have this birth plan, you're trying to control the situation that's really uncontrollable. Yeah. And so it doesn't allow your body to relax like it should too. And so then a lot of times that's what's causing it. So
yeah. I do think I will research, but I do feel like I'm not going to be that person that's like, I know exactly what's coming next. And like, I know that this contraction, maybe I should though, because that would probably help me feel more. Watch me go into like full research mode. And I'm going to be like so prepped.
I think it depends on the person, because like I was for sure an epidural person and wanted to make sure that I could get it with enough time to go, because I didn't want to. Which is funny because I feel like I'm pretty good with pain. Like I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but for whatever reason, there was always this point where I would get, even though I knew I was going to go epidural, there would be this point where you'd get in the pregnancy where you're like, this baby has to come out of me. And there'd be this like panicky feeling like, totally. No, it has to come out, And so I just like, I give props to people that can go natural. Like there's they call it the ring of fire. Like, I just don't think I can do it. Baby's crowning.
Well, and I know that like people that do it say it like feels primal, where you're like, you feel like it's like you don't recognize yourself when you're doing it, because you're like
the euphoria that comes over you. It's almost, they call it, it's almost like a baby, like similar to what you would have. Well, maybe
like a haze, right? They say like an orgasm.
Yeah, I was just thinking like if people are listening with their kids, I probably shouldn't bring that up. But they call it like a baby gasmic or something like that. Like you have these like euphoric feelings like you would with that after the ring of fire.
This is something that I probably shouldn't even bring up, but it's funny. When I was in high school, I remember having a conversation with an adult, and I won't name the person and I won't say the setting, just to add of respect, I guess. I remember being like 14 or 15 and talking to this adult about what an orgasm felt like. And she was like, it's kind of like when you have a sneeze that you can't get out. And then she was like, the closest thing I can compare it to is like, you need to get out this sneeze and you can't. And I was like thinking about that later on in life and being like, kind of, but kind of not, like at the same time. But I also understand like trying to explain it to a teenager, like how would you possibly, it wasn't our mom. Let me just preface that. I did not have this conversation with my mom, but I was trying to say like, I do feel like you would be like, how do I explain this sensation? Oh my gosh. Anyways. Okay. My next, I've had it. You did waffle fries, right? That was your last one.
No, trends.
Oh, trends. Right. Okay. I really don't like people are really self-righteous about fragrance. And then they talk. This is so stupid. It's actually a beef I have with Phil and like all of his parents, like his siblings, because Phil is like convinced that if he sprays more than one spray, that he's going to be the guy in the room that everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so strong. Like his perfume, his cologne's so strong. And so he'll do the full, like he'll do like the one spray and then that's it. And I'm kind of like, what's the point of wearing it if like people can't smell it? And I wouldn't say I'm like a 7 sprayer, but I'm like a good 4 or 5. And And I don't like when people are like, walk into it, like spray and walk into it. I'm like, you like perfume, regardless of what brand you're using, it's expensive. Like the average perfume cost is like $75. So to waste it by spraying it in the air and walking into it just seems like really idiotic to me, that you're doing it for the sake of being like, you don't want to be that guy. But 2 sprays is not going to make you that guy. Do you know what I mean? It's the self-righteous spray and walk in to the perfume. I don't understand it. And I also like a lot of my I've had it's are probably because I do the opposite. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's most of these are personal problems.
Well, I've brought this one up before, but I've had it with the iCAPTCHA, where they ask you if you're a robot and you're logging into one of your own accounts. And PayPal is the worst offender with this, because I'm trying to get in to see my money. And what they're doing is they're asking me, one, if I'm a robot, which no, I've checked the box that I'm not, but then they want me to pick out all the school buses on the screen. And that's not good enough for them. They want me to then pick out the motorcycles on the screen. And what they do is they have a tendency to make the pictures more and more grainy with each level that I have to keep going through. And the pictures get smaller. So like the item in the pictures get littler and littler. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, my eyesight could be going because I am 42, but that's beyond the point. The point is that it should not be that hard to pick out a damn motorcycle on the screen if you've got 9 on there. And then they kind of like, you know, like go over into like another box. And then I'm like, well, should I grab the handlebars? And then also like, you know, does it have to be every single one that it's in? And then like, is the person on the motorcycle also part of like the screen? Like, do I just get the motorcycle? Or like traffic lights will catch you, because there's like the one on the base and then there's the one like, you know, going across. So you have to grab like both. And sometimes like an overpass, they call a bridge. And so it's just like, I don't know which they're wanting. Like I need definitions to like what I'm supposed to be like clicking boxes. So there's been multiple times where it makes me do it like almost 8 times until I can actually get through to my money. And it just is very irritating and feels like once is enough, because I don't think a robot would be able to pick that many out. Like I think I've
It's a real social dilemma, honestly. The robots definitely wouldn't be on round 8. But yet I did tell you about ChatGPT the other day.
Yes. Yes.
So the robots probably could figure it out, is what we're saying. If you don't know what ChatGPT is, I don't know if did we talk about this on the podcast, or we just talk about it as sisters?
I think we started to talk about it because we were talking about AI in general and stuff.
Yeah, AI is really starting to scare me. But basically, ChatGPT is this website that you could literally type in and say, like, tell me a meal plan if I'm on keto or low carb, and write me a grocery list, and it will. Like it's an AI software. And there's a lot of arguments around like, what if people are using it to write like a country song or plagiarize a paper? Yeah, book reports at school. Like it's very concerning. That
not like if you were a kid in college and it's not plagiarizing because it's not written by, well, I mean, it is plagiarizing, but because you didn't do the work, but you're not actually copying someone else's work. You're allowing it to create some of you. So, I mean, how would the teacher ever be able to know? Like, I know in college, they'd be like, we're going to be able to know if you plagiarized. Will you? Are you really going to go out and like I mean, now you could probably Google search it and find it and make it easy, but when we were going to school in the 90s, those professors were going to look at.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? This is so funny. In like the 2nd grade, I totally plagiarized from like an Abe Lincoln paper I was making. It was like straight from Wikipedia, like straight up. But it was like, you either do that or your parents have an Encyclopedia Britannica. Mm-hmm. And you're literally like, how are you supposed to put in your own words a 3-page paper when you're in 2nd grade about Abraham Lincoln? Like, I think you think a lot higher of me than you should. Like when I'm 8, like I don't know anything about Abraham Lincoln enough to write a 3-page paper. And the font I used was like 26 or something, like Aaron. It was like huge. So I got like a B, but I remember my teacher wrote, Kate, this doesn't sound like you. Like, was this you? And I don't think I ever fessed up to it, but I was like, whatever, I gotta be like, who cares? But I definitely straight up like copied and pasted Wikipedia.
When we were in junior high, we had to put together this project for history. I think it was, you had to put in all the different, it was a bunch of different countries, and you had to like, you had to get pictures of the different countries and cut them out and put it was this whole like timeline, and I can't remember what all we had to do, but some people in the class had gone to, and I won't name names because
you're still friends with them.
They had like cut stuff out of the encyclopedia at the library.
Oh no.
They like actually, instead of like making photocopies of the pages, they just like cut out the pages from the encyclopedias at the library and got in trouble.
Like at the public library or like your school library?
No, like the public library. Like,
God.
Like they ruined the encyclopedias at the library. I don't know how they got caught unless somebody saw them do it, but I just know that they were like cutting out the pages and putting it into their projects. And so, because that was the class above me before I was in that class. And I just remember the next year when we were in Mr. Campbell's class, he was like, whatever you do, don't cut out of the encyclopedia.
Well, I also know that like before, like if your parents didn't own an Encyclopedia Britannica, like it was like you were screwed because you used it and referenced it so much. We had like a Navy, they still have it, I think, somewhere. Is it in the basement?
But the funny part about it is, if you think about it, that edition was like 1993. So like if new data had come out since 93, your encyclopedias were behind. So it's kind of a stupid concept. I mean, I get it because you didn't have the internet, but if you think about it, nobody's going to go and invest hundreds of dollars in new books every single time. And then what are you going to do with the outdated ones? So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, I guess, as having like a dictionary and or like the yellow pages. Like I just was watching on Firefly Lane, they got out like the yellow pages. And I was like, that is such a weird concept that we used to look up phone numbers in a phone book.
Or that our parents had to use an atlas, like when you're on a road trip.
Okay, we were just talking about this recently because when I was on the road for working for AFC and I was like going and seeing all those dealers, I would have to print out my Google Maps or my MapQuest. Sorry, my MapQuest.
Yes.
And I would say like, okay, I'm going to go see 8 dealers. And so I would map it from my house to the first dealer to the second to third, so on and so forth. Well, if you got halfway up there and the first dealer cancels on you, now you don't have direction. You know, I have directions from the first dealer to the second dealer, not from like my home to the second dealer. So you couldn't really like, you had to figure out your directions based off of your MapQuest, and then it could be all screwed up. And then you'd have to like remap it in the car with like your hotspot. It was just kind of funny. Now
I would not have survived modern times without my phone maps, because my maps are literally like the only thing that really gets me through. Like I still to this day, there's places of Nashville, like if I didn't have my phone, I would have a hard time getting myself home.
Well, right before, I think that was still at the time when like, was it a TomTom was coming out? And it was like your GPS that you would like stick on the window. That was like the very first, and they were kind of expensive. So not a lot of people had them. So I was just printing off MapQuest, but yeah, it was weird because I mean, we were high tech enough that I could use internet in the car with like my flash or
hotspot.
Like, I guess it was considered a hotspot off of like, I had a Verizon hotspot. So I could still do that and have internet in the car, which that was way more advanced than what we had up to that point. But at that point, when I was calling on dealers, I was up in Chicago area, but we were dealing with dealers, with Dad's company across the nation. Like there was guys in Alabama that didn't have Wi-Fi.
That's wild. Car dealers.
Just Alabama, but I specifically remember a couple of dealers that we worked with in Alabama that didn't have internet. And we were like, well, this isn't going to work for you because it's all internet based.
By the way, this is used car dealers. We say dealers for short, but they're not drug dealers.
Yes. Okay. Is it your turn or is it mine? I think it's yours.
I did the perfume and then you did something. What did you just do?
Eye capture.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, maybe we can each do one more.
Oh, but I have more fun ones.
Oh, okay. Okay, this doesn't really have, well, I guess Mom does this sometimes, but not as much. This is more when I'm with friends or other family. Indecision with ordering at a restaurant. Okay, like the menu's been there for like 25 minutes before he comes and gets it. And like the person that's always like, can you do me last? I'm always like, oh, come on. Like, what is this? Is not like a life or death decision. Like I'm the person that will look at the menu before I go because I like want to know what I want, And
I usually look at it right away because, well, here's my thing is when they come for drink orders, I would rather like order dinner right then. Yeah. And if they come to order your dinner and they're like, do you need a couple more minutes? And someone with you is like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
How do you not know what you want to eat?
We order the same thing every time.
So true. I don't know if it's just because our family is like lickety split with things. Like I feel like our family in general, because of our dad, he's very like decisive. We're not indecisive people. And so when it depends on what the restaurant and what the experience is, because if it's like Chili's, like, yeah, let me take my dinner order when I'm ordering my drink, or like Chewy's. But if I'm like out and spending nice money, I'm fine with it being like leisurely and whatever. But if we're like at the Olive Garden, like, no, we don't need more time. You're going to get the tour of Italy. You're going to get the unlimited breadsticks and salad. Like, why are you still looking at the menu?
You got to get the boat of Alfredo for your breadsticks.
Right.
Okay, my next one is I've had it with people saying happy Monday or happy Wednesday, happy Friday.
I do that.
Yeah, I've had it with you. No, everybody does it. I don't know who started it, but it's annoying. Like
it is annoying.
Or like if you would start every slide with so or okay, like
I do that too.
Your slides back. Like it's really when I'm tapping through your book reviews and every slide. I'm just kidding.
Okay. So okay. So
this isn't pointed at you, but I just mean in general, like I to me, it's cringy when someone hops on and says happy Wednesday. I think it's because I have this piece of me that wants to be original and not feel like I just jumped on a bandwagon or be doing everything that everyone else has done. And so when I hear that and every other person on the internet is doing the same thing, it drives me nuts. And so I want to say something different. So it's like I'm almost purposely trying to go against the grain to say something different. But for some reason it grates on my nerves. It's like hearing happy Monday or happy Wednesday is like the same as when someone says like they've had a brain fart. Like I don't like that word. I think it's weird. I think it's just like a cheesy word and it's something you should not say.
Brain fart?
Brain fart. I don't like it.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't say brain fart very often. But I do sometimes.
I just think it's a weird word. It's like, it's a cheesy made up word that just sounds weird.
Yeah. What would you rather people say instead?
That you had a foggy brain, you had a brain mishap. I don't know. Anything.
I had a brain mishap, guys.
Brain lapse.
What would you rather people say instead of happy Monday?
Good morning.
Morning. Okay. We're back to the basics here.
It's Wednesday.
I'm going to expect the next time you get on stories for you to be like, it's Wednesday.
Something other than happy Monday. It's just like a cheesy word.
Well, and I do feel like people that get on stories every day that say happy Monday, they also say happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday. Like they say it every single day. Yeah. Correct. So I can see why it would be an annoying greeting if they're saying the same thing every time.
Yes.
My next one is people's unawareness with their nose whistles. And we tried to talk about this on a different episode. And I brought up the fact that Whitney gets nose whistles often. Okay. My biggest pet peeve, which is so stupid, is throat bubbles. And you had one when we were praying with Mom the other day, and I was like, please swallow your.
I don't even think that I did actually, but it must have sounded like I did because you said that. Like, oh, that's weird. I don't feel like I had to.
You paused and you were like, and took like a really big gulp. And then you just kept praying. But it's like when someone has a throat bubble, that all of a sudden their voice almost sounds like more high pitched and like nasally.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like they're intentionally not swallowing it and they keep talking. I hate that.
You just talking about this in church, how like when you can't cough is immediately when you feel like you have to.
Yes.
Like I was at the doctor's office sitting in the waiting room and immediately like I have to cough. And then I feel like people are going to be looking at me thinking that I'm trying to infect them when in reality I'm not sick, but it's like your throat is dry. And that's like in that moment. And so like we went for church the other day and they were like, it was a small group of people and they were taping it. And so they were like, whatever you do, if you can, just try to like not to cough or sneeze or anything like that for like the next 30 minutes. And it got down to like the last 2 minutes and I was totally fine. And then I started feeling this little tickle in the back of my throat. And I was like, oh no, I didn't bring my water in. And I'm like trying to like, like swallow my spit and I was going like, like into and it's just not relieving it. And they get done and he looks at me and he's like, how long have you been trying to hold that back? And I was like, at least 3 minutes.
I was going to say too, this is such a cute story, but when you like you need to laugh at something, but it's like an inappropriate time or like, you don't want to hurt the person's feelings. Last night I texted you guys this, we were watching the coronation and we're like, I was saying how like the Spice Girls turned down coming to the coronation and mom's like, is Pink part of the Spice Girls? I don't know what it was about the question, but it tickled me so hard that I was like, but I didn't want to make her feel dumb for asking the question because like Pink could be a Spice Girl. So I was like, no, she's not. And then I was like, that's actually a really funny question. And then we both like giggled, but I needed to like release a really big laugh and I felt like I shouldn't. So I was like trying so hard to like let the moment pass. And it was like the laugh was like stuck in my chest.
It's the worst because it like burns. You just
it's the worst. My best story about something like this is when I was working for my dad. I was on a dealer training and I used to work in this like side room. I think I've told you this story before. I was working in this side room. Phil just did this to me again when I was on the phone with insurance like a week ago. And I was like, I could literally kill you. But I was in this side room and he came in usually when he was done valeting. And he's like 5 feet away from me. And I'm on the phone doing a training. And she asks me a question and Phil rips a toot so loud. And I was like, first of all, this woman doesn't know I work from home. So she thinks that I just did that. And I literally mute the phone and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh, you're standing right next to me. And so then I'm like trying to compose myself, but he's dying laughing, like tears rolling down his face, crying. And I literally am like, how am I going to speak? And so I can't. It was one of those ones where you're like, and she's talking and I'm like silently laugh crying, like trying to get out words. And she keeps going, hello, are you there?
At least it wasn't a video call.
I know, it was horrible. And so finally I like literally couldn't breathe. Like I don't know if I asked to call her back or if I composed myself, but I was like, get out, like move out of the room. Because his laughing was making me laugh even more. And he just did this. I was either on the phone with my nurse or insurance and he did it again. And he just like, he's like facing the other direction. And then he like looks back and then just starts laughing. Like he forgot that I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that lady definitely thought I ripped the biggest fart ever. And it was horrible. Okay, what's your next one?
Matching family shirts at Disney.
Oh, you don't even go to Disney.
When people have shirts that say like mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and like the whole family. Like I get if you're wearing matching colors because you have lots of kids and you're trying to keep track of them. Right. But I don't love like the mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, like that whole thing. To me, again, it's kind of like the Happy Monday.
Well, like you could use this argument for a lot of things. Like how far does it go? Because you match your kids and you also made your kids and your husband wear matching Christmas PJs.
I did, yes. And the cringe level could go wide and far. But like, I think it's partly because if I'm going to Disney, I want to wear like what's comfortable and what I want to wear. So I don't want to have to wear a matching shirt with my family. So I think that that's part of it. It's like the idea of boxing me in and making me put something on.
I kind of feel that way too. Like if you're at like a family lake weekend and they're like, okay, we're all going to wear matching t-shirts one night and take a photo. And you're just like, no, like why? Yeah. Like, do we have to do this? Just to preface that no one's ever made me do that. I just am like thinking.
Well, do you remember those family photos where they would do like a big extended family photo and everybody would wear like tan on the bottom and then each family would be represented with a different color? So like you're the red family, you're the blue family, you're the yellow. And
so
I'm like,
weird.
I didn't even think that was a good idea.
I also remember like when we would do extended family photos on our mom's side, and this was like, I don't know, 40 people, probably, maybe more. I
would say.
Because there's 17 grandkids.
I think it's 15, 16, something like that.
But either way. And then my mom was one of 7. I remember these picture days being like a really big deal. Like we prepped for weeks. We went shopping. We were like, you had to like coordinate colors so that the photo like made sense altogether.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you had to make sure like everybody had to be in like some form of pastel. Right. Like for one. And yeah. And so you had to make sure all the colors like went together. And that's really before the days of like having iPhones where you could take pictures and send it through a text and be like, hey, this is what my family's wearing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Should I do my last one?
No, we're good. Let's keep going.
Okay. I am tired of influencers telling us what to wear to the airport.
You know, it's so funny where you I just sent this one to you.
Yeah, I don't know if it could, but I think it was like it really resonated with me because I was like, nobody's wearing that. Like, I just don't. It's like this guy was like making fun of influencers saying like, I'm on this trip and I'm better than you, and like I'm having so much fun, but yet I'm still bored at this 5-star resort. And this girl commented and said like, oh my gosh, please tell me what to wear to the airport. I've never seen an airplane and I've never been to one.
I know, it's so funny. We've never been inside an airport, so we don't have a clue what to wear or something like that. It makes me laugh so hard.
Like I'm going to be wearing leggings and a sweatshirt and some slip-on tennis shoes that I can put on and off in security. Like I'm not going to wear a jumpsuit with this cute Lululemon cardigan and like all these things. And I'm not going to have matching pink luggage. My luggage is from TJ Maxx and it was $30. It's
the zipper's not cute. It's crunched in on one side.
I was just laughing so hard because I was like, there's content from influencers that's so helpful and like actually really valuable. But like that just hit me so funny when she's like, please, I've never stepped foot in an airport. What should I wear?
Oh, it is funny. I mean, I get like that they have to create content and if they're going somewhere, like, why not? Like, but it is comical. I mean, I hope that they can laugh at themselves too. I mean, that's why that like haters or what his name is.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like so true. So much of it.
Obviously he embellishes so much of it, but it's just so funny because he's literally like, I'm on this like really boring trip at this like really expensive hotel that you guys could never afford, but I'm like bored, but I'm like happy I'm here because I spent so much money. And he's like basically saying like how they're trying to make you jealous from all these like extravagant trips, and it just makes me laugh. Like it's
kind of like this weekend when I sent you guys that picture and was like, these are this influencer seats for Taylor Swift. I'm really happy for her. Having a harder time to be happy for her richness.
I know. At some point you're like, I'm just sick of them being so rich. Like I would love to have floor seats to Taylor Swift. It's like, of course you're happy for it because you like them, but then sometimes you're like, man, it'd be really nice. But I also, let's just say that like we riff on influencers as a joke because obviously they have put in a lot of time, effort, and work to get to the place that they're at. And I respect the hustle. I'm jealous of the hustle. Honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, at one point we could understand and were relatable. And now they have like $3,000 seats to Taylor Swift. Like good for them.
That's right. You're like, we're no longer in the same realm of relatability.
It's getting harder and harder to be excited for them.
It's like when influencers are on brand trips and they're like, I'm having so much fun in this like free resort. And you're just like, must be nice to just get a free trip. Did you hear about all that on TikTok? Oh my gosh, it was a whole thing. And it swung to like two different people. This one girl was saying that she was treated differently because of her race and that she was put in like a worse bedroom and she got different, like in a different event schedule. And that I could see being like really problematic. And of course, like I would have been on her side if I was like, I feel like I'm getting treated differently because I have less followers and I'm a different race. But these other girls were like, my bedroom was smaller than the girl that has 10 million followers. And the toast was like, well, yeah, if I had 10 million followers, I would expect the best bedroom that's in this hotel. Like, duh. Like, if they're going to make content for the brand, like they need to like look like the brand has money. She's like, look, if you have 20,000 followers and someone has 11 million, I think the 11 million person, it's like, she's probably going to get a nicer bedroom.
They're the celebrity of the trip. So, I mean, of course. Totally.
Yeah. I just would have been like, man, I'm happy I got to go to Bali for free. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, at some point, like we need to gain some perspective. Like you're on a free tropical vacation.
Yes, that is true. That is true. They've lost perspective.
Okay. My last one was the airport. What's your next one?
I've had it with energy efficient appliances. I've talked about this, but they are not made the same. Everything is plastic. It used to be metal. Everything breaks. It's not made like it used to be. And there is no efficiency when I have to wait an hour for my clothes to get washed and I have to wait 4 hours for dishes to get done. Like, I do not understand, like, where's the efficiency part coming in? Like, is it water efficiency? It's not time efficiency. Like, I would like time efficient appliances, not energy, like time efficient appliances. And I would like them to be made with products or with products that will hold up. Like we haven't had the dishwasher that long. The silverware basket has broken. And I think we were talking about this the last time. Brian was saying that he thinks it's the way that people were loading the dishwasher. Oh. Because they're jamming their silverware in too hard. And I was like, it's not the way we're loading the dishwasher. It is right. A quality product, and we shouldn't, after like 2 years, be having to buy new silverware baskets because the bottoms are falling out. And it should not be like melting everything that you put in it. Like it shouldn't be a Russian roulette of like whether or not my cup is going to come out the same way that it went in. Biggie.
I also feel like when I was buying appliances, I was really struggling with like getting the cheaper option versus the one I really wanted, like hence why I got such an expensive fridge. And my friend Sam was like, it's an appliance that you use every single day. Like you wash dishes every day. You use your fridge all day, every day. Like those are the kind of things that like you should be okay being like, this is the best like cost per wear type of thing, cost per use. Whereas like other things that you're not really using as much shouldn't be as big of a priority.
Well, my irritation with the washer is that like we got it because it has a big barrel, right? So like I should be able to do like double or triple the size of the load that I did in like the old washer that was supposedly not energy efficient. But then it tells you that you shouldn't actually fill up the drum that far because it will like overload it. And I'm like, well, then what's the point of making the drum that big if you can't actually put any clothes in it? So then my energy efficiency is out the window. And so is my time efficiency, because now I have to do the same number of loads as before, but I do them in a 3 times the amount of time because now I've forgotten about the load that I put in there 2 days ago because it took an hour and a half to wash.
It's another social dilemma, this and Captiva.
It is. It's so annoying to me. I just think it's like I think it is one of those things that people got in their heads that we have to have energy efficiency, and it's just like a big marketing ploy, and it's a load of crap. Right. I don't think that they're energy efficient, and they have not helped my life at all in any capacity.
Okay, my last one, I will say, this is so stupid. I have had it with people being obsessed with Where the Crawdads Sing. It is not a good book, and it's not a motion picture masterpiece. I'm sorry, like people are obsessed with the book. And I remember it was when I first started getting back into reading, and it was like my first experience, like really getting into the hype of like what people are excited about. Like I bought into the hype. And I remember Delaney, your old nanny, and I were both reading it on the Florida vacation the second year we went, when we went the first year in November.
Oh, yeah.
And so the weather was like warm, but it wasn't that warm. And so I did a lot of reading. And I remember it like kind of low key ruined my first 3 days of vacation because I kept thinking, certainly this book is going to get better. And it just never does. If you could spend any more minutes in the marsh with her, like it was just like at some point, like we get it. She lives in the marsh and she's a marsh girl and she has like a very sad upbringing. And I know that there's like a bigger purpose and meaning. And I think the movie did it much better than the book, but there was just way too much time spent. And people act like this is, you know, The Great Gatsby. And it's just not. It's just really, it's not.
Oh. Okay. Well, my last one, which you've already heard, but I think I've had it with Goodwill telling us what we can donate. I find it extremely irritating that you're going to tell me that I cannot donate a TV or hangers or toys or whatever. I'm like, you are Goodwill. That's what you do for a living, is you resell people's crap that they don't want anymore. But then you're going to tell us what we can and cannot drop off to you. Like, you're reselling people's stuff. Like, your whole business model is that you take stuff in for free and you sell it for way more than you should. And you're taking... I just like, where am I supposed to put my old TVs and where am I supposed to put my kids' toys? I don't want to have a garage sale. I don't want to get out those stupid neon stickers and go through every piece one by one. I don't want to have to, there's like no place to donate that stuff. It's still in good enough shape that you like, you don't want to throw it away.
Well, and garage sales are such a scam because you have to find like this happy medium between like pricing it at a place that it's like you where you want it and knowing people will haggle. So you're really not making much, and you probably would have saved money just dropping it off at Goodwill.
Well, and here's the thing. And once you've gone to all that trouble and all that time and all that energy, pricing it all and everything, you still have to load all the extra crap up and put it in your car. And then if you're good, you'll take it to Goodwill that day, or you'll drive around with it in the back of your trunk for 4 months until you decide to actually get it to Goodwill. Or you can do what I do, is you drop it off after hours and then they can't tell you if you can donate it or not.
Life hack. Life hack. This is another social dilemma. We have a theme here. I was going to say also, it's so bad that you just...
You're allowed to donate luggage. Like it's like random things. We should go pull up the list of the stuff that you cannot donate to Goodwill. Yeah. Specifically, I know toys, but like the other thing too is like, I don't want to like mess with Facebook Marketplace because everybody tries to, I'm like, I'm selling a thing for $20 and you want to give me $5. No, I don't want to haggle. Like, I just want to put the price on it and have you come buy it. I bought it for $100. If I'm giving it to you for $20, you're getting it for a steal. Don't try to ask me for $5.
Right. And if you price it too high, then no one messages you. So you have to find this like happy medium between it being enticing. Yes. I will say though, I bought books off of Facebook Marketplace recently, and I didn't even ask for a deal. The girl, it was supposed to be $5 per book, and I asked for $3. And she's like, is 10 okay? And I was like, sure. Like, I didn't even haggle. She just like made up the price. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you. And so then I was like convinced when I went to pick it up, it was only going to be 2 books because she said 10. And I was like, it'll be a mystery which ones she gives me. And she gave me all 3. It was like so crazy. Anyways, I will say with Facebook Marketplace, I do think you have to do it in, if you want to score on the like buying side, you have to be looking at it all the time.
All the time.
Because like Jeff and Libby have gotten some really good furniture deals, but I think she's been like looking like 24/7. And I think selling instead of the garage sale, it'd almost feel like you'd have to be continually selling because you can do it in like increments, like here and there, like, oh, I need to sell that and these 5 things. Otherwise you get really burnt out of it if you're trying to get rid of a ton of stuff at once.
Too many things. Yeah. Here's my thing is that I don't even mind that part of it so much, is that I don't love the, I don't love the interaction with people from the standpoint that if lots of people are interested and you have one person that says they are, but they're not getting back to you or they haven't paid, like, I
that's so annoying
before you come pick it up. So then I have like other people lined up and I'm like, well, it's kind of spoken for. And I don't know the etiquette of like, do I just say like the first person to pay for it gets it? Or do you try to say like, well, this is the first person that messaged me that said they were interested, but they've got to go talk to their husband. They're going to let you know. And then this person is sitting and waiting and that person never comes back. So then when do you say like, you know what I mean? It's just like this thing. And then once you get the money, then you have to figure out when to meet them or like have them pick it up. And that whole hassle of like people messaging you and saying like, can I come by at such and such a time? Or like, or I forgot, can I do it tomorrow? Drives me nuts. Like, I just I don't want to mess with that whole piece of it. And so to me, it's easier just to not sell it or to just like donate it than to go through all of that. But
I will say, if you're a stickler about it being porch pickup or pickup, and that you will not help them load it in their car. Because when we were selling furniture, everyone came like my age women by themselves, which one, like so unsafe. And two, not that I'm an unsafe person, but like I would never go to someone's door without Phil. Yeah. And two, like, do you really think I'm going to help you put this dresser in your truck? Like, no, like you need to bring someone else. Like I would never not bring like Phil with me if I was going to go buy a dresser. And be like, hey, can you help me load it? Like, it's one thing, like Phil always actually helped. Like we always helped them load it, but it was weird that it was like expected. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. Because we've experienced that too. Like when we were selling stuff and I was always kind of confused because you don't want to be like rude about it. But at the same time, you're like, you should have had someone help you like get this in the car. How the hell else did you think you were going to get it in?
Right. It's like, hello. Yeah. Anyways, okay, guys, that was a lot of fun. I giggled a lot. So we love you guys. Thank you for watching and listening to the Sisterhood Society podcast. We make uploads every Wednesday, and you can catch it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Normally there's 3 of us, but Whitney is off today. So we will be back next week with another episode. We love you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.